And there I was the girl from Suits.
This one's wife. Why does she hide her feet? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As you can see from the thumbnail, there have been repeated instances where this one's wife hides her feet as a consequence of wearing clothes that are too long for her. Now, we do know that her feet do make appearances. After all, the cloven hooves have been cited on a number of occasions. But alongside those sightings, there are repeated instances where she appears to be hiding her feet by wearing over-long clothes. What's all that about? Well, there's a question that's been posed by Gina Calcy in the Daily Mail, who writes, "This one's wife is known for her chic style." Yeah, right. Which has evolved significantly since she and Prince Harry stepped down as working royals and moved to California to start a new life together. But as she and the Duke of Sussex carry out quasi-royal tours, for instance, the tour of Nigeria and events marking the Invictus Games, a new trend appears to be emerging in this one's wife's outfits as she dons trousers, skirts and dresses that appear altogether too long for her. Instead of tailoring her maxi outfits so they perfectly match her 5'6" frame, the Duchess often wears clothes that no doubt add to her chic style, but also drag along the floor as she walks. It might seem an odd miss in the otherwise incredibly stylish Duchess's repertoire. Come on. But a celebrity style expert has suggested this one's wife's perceived oversight may actually be a very deliberate decision on her part in order to create a particular illusion. Well, we do know that she is the purveyor of illusions. She certainly spun enough in the direction of Harry in order to ensnare him. So what's this new illusion? During this one's wife and Harry's quasi-royal tour of Nigeria, the Duchess showcased several examples of very long clothing. One such outfit came in the city of Abuja, where she opted for an aptly named Windsor dress in blush silk, which retails for £1,106. Its California-based designer, Heidi Merrick, one of the Duchess's favourites, actually offers a slightly altered version of the frock for petite customers via its tailoring service. However, as this one's wife danced the afternoon away at the Woo's Lightway Academy, she appears not to have opted for the tailored version of the frock, and instead donned a version which skimmed the floor as she bopped to jump up, turn around. Similarly, in Lagos, the former senior working royal chose to wear a Caroline Herrera silk overlay column gown in taxicab yellow. This one's wife was all smiles as she soaked up the sun in the 30-degree weather and visited the Lagos State Governor's office. And yet again, she wore a lengthy, vibrant and flamboyant ensemble that dragged along the grass lawn. Celebrity stylist Rochelle White told the Mail that the Duchess likely wears long clothing that covers her feet because it gives the illusion of height. She said, long dresses and trousers, depending on her body type, can help to elongate the body and shape. They can make you look taller, and depending on the styles, can help to define areas of the body you either want to highlight or cover up. When the royal couple spent a week in Frankfurt last summer to attend the Invictus Games, this one's wife wore an all-brown ensemble on a day that saw them both watching events and watching a NATO meeting. This was made up of a chocolate-coloured blouse and creased taupe trousers that trailed along the floor. She stood next to Prince Harry, who was a whopping 6'2" in height, and although she basically came up to his shoulder, Rochelle says she appears taller because of her outfit choice. She said, looking at this one's wife, I feel that these styles make her look taller and highlight her silhouette. I feel it makes her look taller. I feel that she knows her body and the things or items that work for her best and is tapping into that with her looks. In 2018, during this one's wife's trip to Edinburgh with Harry, she proudly donned a pair of lengthy flared black trousers, which were too long for her despite wearing a pair of heels. As the Duchess was busy greeting people who braved the unpredictable Scottish weather to see the former royals, the slacks were pulled along the wet concrete, gathering dirt on the bottom of them. In 2018, during her visit to Sydney, she was pictured walking along the sand in a black and white striped maxi dress, and the following year, during a visit to Morocco with Harry, this one's wife donned a large cobalt pattern frock. Well, there we are. The suggestion is that she's wearing these outfits because she's not that tall. Well, she's of average height. 5'6" is average height for a woman in, for instance, the United Kingdom. And it would appear that she's doing this, according to this fashion expert, for the purposes of making herself look taller. Now, there are some that think that she wears these outfits to hide her feet because she's not got very attractive feet. Well, it's probably true that she hasn't got particularly attractive feet, but that's not the reason why she wears the long outfits. After all, there's been plenty of occasions where her large feet have been flapping around in public when she's been wearing sandals, etc. And, of course, you see them in introduction as she wafts them through the air. So it isn't the bunions that she'd had removed and the ugliness of her feet that causes her to hide them away, because she doesn't always do so. If they were that problematic, we would never see them at all. No. The reason that's been suggested, of course, is that wearing long clothes makes her look taller. Well, in actual fact, they make a person look shorter. You're better off tailoring them so that the hems are just below the ankle at the top of the foot, and wear appropriate footwear, which then adds to the height. So it isn't actually because it's an attempt to make her look taller. There are two reasons why this one's wife wears clothing which is too big for her, too long for her, and understandably, it's linked to her narcissism. The first is that because of her sense of entitlement, she receives clothing from designers to wear, so she doesn't have to pay for it, but she's not allowed to alter it. She has to return it in the condition that which it was sent to her. And many of these designer pieces are made for models who are 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot in height, far taller than this one's wife. So what she ends up with is clothing that doesn't quite fit her, indeed often looks noticeably too large for her, all because she's too cheap to purchase it and delights in getting a freebie. Now, you might think to yourself, well, it's all very well getting a freebie, but if it makes you look bad, it's not a particularly good freebie, is it? Why would you want to be wearing clothing that doesn't suit you and drags along the ground and makes you look ridiculous, even if it is free? Well, of course, remember, this one's wife looks at herself through the distortion field of her narcissism. She's deluded. She thinks she looks great. So what's happening? She's getting designer outfits for free. Therefore, that satisfies her sense of entitlement. She believes she's important and that she should receive such outfits for free. She's not having to spend her money, which therefore doesn't threaten her sense of control by forcing her to issue such expenditure. And she doesn't see that she looks shit in these outfits because her narcissism blinds her to it. So the reason she wears these outfits is driven by her sense of entitlement, because she doesn't want to spend money on outfits. So she gets the freebies, but she can't tailor them, she can't adjust them, because they have to go back in the same state. And because she's much shorter than the people that they're actually designed for, they look too big on her, but she doesn't care or notice because her narcissism simply tells her she looks great. And so it's not actually a case of her hiding her feet, but all about her wanting to lig off the designers, not realizing that it makes her look poor. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.